So let me welcome first Mr. Tharp, and of course congratulate from your part and from my part too. We were all astonished by what French say, la maîtrise. Yeah. So it was really beautiful concert, and let me welcome you in Croatia. And how do you feel in Croatia? Can you say a few words? You have been here a few days.
Yes, it's been a wonderful, albeit short trip. I arrived only yesterday? Thursdays, yes. And yesterday was a free day, so I was able to explore the city on foot. I love walking everywhere. And more than 60 tours in Europe in my life. The first time in Croatia is this trip. So it was really wonderful to see this one city yesterday, all day, before I had the opportunity to come today to prepare the concert.
The one thing which is particular for this evening, for this concert of yours, is I think the organ transcriptions we heard, especially, of course, those you made yourself. I believe in Croatia it's not so, we are not accustomed to hear some, let's say, the art of transcription, organ transcription. It's more maybe a traditional way of playing the organ, the literature, and of course the improvisations. But the transcriptions of orchestral pieces of this, the last piece we heard, it's basically a piece for piano and orchestra. And it is quite an achievement to be, how to say, able to fit in everything into one single instrument. So could you tell us a little bit about your approach to transcription and, of course, why you do it and how did you do it? And, of course, you just came today, first time at this organ. How do you find your way through the organ, which is basically a new thing for you when you come in the new place, and how to adapt the transcription itself?
The tradition for organ transcription began in England with the town hall organ. This was before recordings existed, and in some cities there wasn't money for an orchestra, so people would come by the thousands to the town halls to hear orchestra music played by one person on organs designed for this, so that it was exposed to the public, and they would come by the thousands hearing more transcriptions at that time, late 19th century England, than there was really organ music. So Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Brahms, this is how audiences knew this music before they could buy a recording. And early American organ building copied this organ building style, and so the tradition was brought by British organists to the US, where it's been part of the art of organ performance for more than 100 years, but this is where it began. It is now in Europe more and more, some countries more than others, but it's becoming a normal part of a concert because most of the people who come to an organ recital, a large audience, they're not organists. So we may have people here who know Franz Liszt, who know Mendelssohn, who know Beethoven, but they don't know as much about our repertoire. So it's a way to introduce the public to the instrument in the middle, somewhere where they know the repertoire, so they hear something familiar but unexpected from an organ, and then the organ repertoire all in one, and I think it's the best way to reach a largest audience. You have social skills to interact with people, but no two people are the same, and this is exactly how you adapt anything you play to a new instrument. You have some knowledge of the organ you're going to play in advance, but this only tells you a part of the story. You don't know the sound and how things combine before you sit and play, like you don't know a person until you have a conversation with them. And you adapt repertoire and transcriptions and everything to a new instrument in that way. And I was lucky today, have a very long day to rehearse, but one day to rehearse the whole program, which is not impossible. It can be very challenging, but it can work if you have some idea of the music you know, and you find out quickly what the organ will do best and move through arranging your program, and then it can work.
Another question would be about your daily routine, or would I say Sunday routine, since you play in church. How does it look like in your country? It's a St. James Church in Manhattan. So could you tell us about the music you, let's say, produce there probably on a weekly basis, and what are your obligations? How are the organs there, and how does it look like?
I've been very fortunate for 10 years to play at St. James Church in Manhattan. It's an Episcopal or the Anglican Church, Church of England liturgy. And I'm one of 3 organists, but I'm the principal organist to play most of the service because the other musicians have the children or are conducting the rest. Our choir of adults is 18 professional singers. It's a typical thing in New York. You pay for professional musicians to do this liturgy. And it's a symphonic style organ built by an American builder, which can accompany all of this music from America and England from the 20th and 21st century. And it's an organ with a lot of flexible character to the sound. For example, you notice on this organ, you have this box. In front of the box are these shades that do this, and it controls the volume. When they're closed, it's soft. As you open, it changes the volume to make it louder. The organ at my church in New York has 5 boxes like this, so that you can move sound like an impressionist painting, where there's what you'd call an elision to the sound, the way you have an elision to the oil painting. And so for this style of liturgy, and it's a dream to have this kind of service in this choir every week. And for the organ part of the service, I do something which is more European, which is that I improvise everything. It's very rare to play repertoire in the service. So the prelude, the sortie, postlude, the communion, it's all organ improvisation. Because I had studied this in Paris, and I said, I want to bring this to my church, and they've been gracious to let me do this as part of the service. It's not so typical in America for improvisation to be the core for organ liturgy.
Yes, since you mentioned the improvisation, could you just share a few words about, when you were a student of Jean Guillou, as we read in your CV, maybe about the lesson, or how can it be taught at all, and how do you prepare yourself for? It doesn't need to be so much of the tricks, but can you tell us about the conception of playing from one's mind, let's say, unprepared or prepared, I don't know.
When I was fortunate to work with Jean Guillou, I was 22, and it was during the summer following my university studies. And I had met him several times and wanted to play some of his music for him, but then also asked to work on improvisation privately for about 2 months in Paris. And basic understanding of music theory, composition, that he did not want to teach me how to do this. I had to know this before I come or forget it. He wanted to teach improvisation based on free ideas, much the way you would watch a theater group improvise on stage. And he would say, invent a melody, and another melody, and another melody, and each of these would be like a character in a play, but you're creating it in the moment. Then you take any of those and develop them together until you've created a musical play, symphonic poem, if you want to call it, variations, if you want to say. You're always thinking one step ahead, the way actors would think one step ahead, improvising with each other and playing against each other on a stage. And this is how he wanted to teach how to improvise, a complete exploration of your fantasy and invention of sound, invention of musical language. This is the work I did with him in Paris.
And as a final question to conclude this interview, I would just mention during the interval, I spoke with a few colleagues here, and we were all astonished by this beautiful piano you did in, I don't know, in Beethoven, in different pieces tonight, because people usually, imagine organ as a powerful and loud instrument, and tonight we witnessed something. I remember this famous quote of Oscar Wilde, who says in The Importance of Being Earnest, "Piano is my forte." And that was exactly the thing I think we were astonished and experienced tonight, and it's a kind of masterclass with you. Thank you very much. And what I want to ask, since you travel a lot and many tours, you have seen many organs. And of course, I think this what you said about Zhang Yu, who was basically a visionary, somebody who was really into future of the organ. Can you just tell us a little bit, to finish this interview, some ideas you gained from all these travels and meeting all these different, let's say, persons, not instruments, as you said. So what is in it that you can tell us and share with us tonight in Zagreb?
Well, I'll cover several things. An audience is certainly thrilled by an organ when you show full power. And of course, the organist loves to play loud. This is exciting for the organist, and especially for me as a child. I was 6 in the church when I decided I must learn how to do this, and my parents found me a music teacher. So loud is wonderful, and in the world of aesthetics, applies to many things, art, architecture, also music. Everything all the time is the same as nothing. So really very little of a large pipe organ is about what's powerful and loud. You have many individual tones, colors, and variation in sound, and how to use these subtle things is where the magic in demonstrating an organ actually exists. If you like a food that's very spicy, but you ate hot food all the time, it wouldn't be interesting. It's how to do things very subtle that actually shows where the skill of the organ builder is when he was making the intonation. And as equally as playing loud. Loud is exciting, but it's not where the magic is. It's not where you demonstrate your technique. So to play many things in different ways that are more subdued is actually the magic of a program and the variation of a program. And traveling to many, many organs for many years, you start to develop a vocabulary in learning with more ease how to do that skill when changing organ to organ. It's like a virtuosity in playing with sound, the way you're a master chef after 50 years when you're cooking. And this is the one thing that has resulted from all of my travel. Very, very lucky to see so many different organs and to learn how to choose what's going to be more effective depending on which organ that I have.
Yes, thank you. And to conclude, I'm thankful to Lisinski Concert Hall, who they put Croatia on your list. Now you know where we are, and we hope it's not the last time we will hear you and your music here. And thank you very much, and from the part of audience also, and for the beautiful concert tonight. Thank you.